Welcome back, everyone. This is the Taw and Bryce podcast. This is episode number 2, and we are so excited for you today. My name is Bryce, and obviously my co-host is Taw Naylor.
How's it going, everybody?
He's been my best friend since I can remember. This episode today, we're going to talk about first off, we're going to talk about Halloween. Now, Halloween as a kid was something that was a magical time of year. Obviously, you go out, you do your work, you get candy, and you're happy as can be. But it really wasn't until I got introduced to Taw and how deeply he loved Halloween that my Halloweens and pretty much the rest of the year kind of started to change. So talk to us a little bit about your experiences with Halloween.
Yeah. So oh my gosh, my very first memory of Bryce when it came to Halloween was this kid who would literally start at like the second school got out. He would be sprinting around the neighborhood in like a karate outfit or something, or just depending on the what was it, ninja? I can't remember. Like probably a ninja more than anything else. I can't remember now. But the thing is, I just remember like you and Neil would just. Like,
I love ninjas.
No, it was you and Spencer.
I've loved ninjas ever since I was growing up.
Yep. You and Spencer would just like sprint, dude, from house to house. People weren't even home from work yet, and you were just like nailing every single house. I remember like later on you told me why you did that. You're like, we just wanted to make sure we got as much as we possibly could out of that one night, one experience. And I was like, wow, because for me at that point, like by the time we became friends, I wasn't trick-or-treating anymore, like, and the thing is, I don't think you were either at that time. I think we were both too old to be able to trick-or-treat at that point. But even when I did trick-or-treat,
maybe
we may or may not have put on Halloween masks and scared people just for kicks and giggles, and then or pretended to get candy for a brother or sister who was sick and couldn't come out trick-or-treating. I did that once, okay? And I feel bad about it. And I only did it through one neighborhood. I only did it through one neighborhood. And they gave me the dirtiest looks ever. And it was so, oh my gosh, it was the best. You really know how far you can push the line when you're pretending to have a sick little brother or sister to get candy from people on Halloween. So that's kind of where, oh man.
Good thing you're the youngest in your family.
Oh yeah, exactly. So basically I was the sick one, if you know what I'm talking about. He's a little sick. But as time kind of went, like we had moments of just absolute like scaring the snot out of the kids in the neighborhood. I really enjoy like decorating. I really enjoy going around and scaring people. And you know what? Like I like the moment, and the thing that really kind of stands out, and Bryce I think knows exactly what I'm talking about getting Halloween masks and going down to a park, baseball field and park next to our houses, and basically like harassing people, but in a very nice, polite way. We were hooligans or hurting people or anything like that, but we would just go and stand and stare. And I remember just going and standing and staring at this group of people playing volleyball, this like group of teenagers playing volleyball, and they were like freaking out. Volleyball.
Yep.
Yeah. And they were freaking out about.
Do you remember Kelsey Anderson's birthday or Kelsey Anderson's party? This was just after The Village came out, and we had gotten a mask that looked similar to The Village, and you had those like creepy looking hands and like this cloak and everything, and we dressed up and we put like pillows and a blanket in the shoulders to make us look bigger.
Yep, I do remember that. Oh my God.
We had like tested out the costume, and we went to this party. Dude, the reaction was priceless, mainly because Kelsey was completely oblivious to us creeping up, and like there was just sort of the realization as we like got closer and closer to her to scare her that everyone was just like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And I was within inches of her before she turned around, and she just freaked out. Oh man, that was like those are the times that you live for Halloween to scare.
Especially as a teenage boys, like there's nothing better than going and scaring a girl at her birthday party or a Halloween party. Oh my gosh, yes, I do remember.
Dude, it was
that.
Awesome.
So just to let everyone out there know, like we had so many fun times with that specific costume. We've shot movies with it, and we'll talk to you guys a little bit about that some other time. We'll definitely have to bring that up. Yeah, so I don't want to spoil it, but we definitely we had some situations that were quite dangerous in that costume, and some situations that were just downright amazing. And one of the things that I really enjoyed was the fact that like we had the nerve to go out in public in that stuff and just goof off with people and really enjoy ourselves. I mean, we took that essence of being a teenager and just like made it golden, kind of a thing. And so that's, to me, that was perfect. That was absolutely perfect how we did that. We had great imaginations growing up, and that made Halloween awesome for us 10 times better than I think it was for a lot of people.
So many memories.
Definitely. I don't know if if you remember this one.
Halloween definitely has a special place in my heart.
Yep. It definitely does for me too. So yeah. Yep. I don't know. Like, I'm trying to remember as time went by, we kind of slowed down a little bit though. Like, on Halloween, but still Halloween is definitely, it's a special place. And nowadays, I've translated that over into with my family, my brothers and sisters and their kids and stuff. And we do a lot of, themed Halloween parties and stuff like that now, which are just fantastic. I mean, having the opportunity to have a day where you can just dress up as something fun and goof off and be something different, Halloween definitely holds a special place in my heart. So, yeah. What about, I was going to say, I'm like...
Totally.
Yeah. Experiences with Halloween, Bryce?
Well, so, yeah, obviously that experience. I guess another experience, before we started doing crazy stunts like that, just one thing that... I don't know. I as a kid, for 1 year, I was trick-or-treating with my friend Spencer Anderson, and I was on my rollerblades that year, and my candy got stolen, and I was so upset. And I chased the guys down. They eventually gave me the candy back. The main reason why I chased them was because I was using my older brother's pillowcase, and I knew he was going to kill me. So I had to get at least the pillowcase back. I didn't really care too much about the candy, but I don't know if you've ever had your candy stolen or had maybe like a fun experience with Halloween. Put it in the comments below. We want to hear what experiences you have. Maybe they're good memories, maybe they're bad memories. Maybe there's memories that you have made other people have that are bad memories. But yeah, we'd love to hear about how you guys celebrate Halloween.
Definitely. Just kind of let everybody know right now.
Moving on.
Oh, sorry. That there is a little bit of a delay between me and Bryce. So if all of a sudden Bryce goes quiet or I go quiet, it's because there's just a tiny bit of a delay between when I talk and Bryce hears me. So kind of keep that in mind when you're watching this, that's what's going on. So, and then I'll let Bryce continue with what he was going to say.
You would not believe how long we have spent troubleshooting, trying to get the right configuration, and we still don't have it dialed in. We've spent over an hour trying to figure out camera setups, phone setups, microphone setups, recording, like the internet, like speeds. It has been a huge hassle. So this podcast coming to you is actually kind of a miracle. I'm glad it's making your way to your screen, but thank you everyone for watching our podcast. It really, or listening to our podcast as well. It means the world to us, seriously.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Um, I so to kind of touch on the candy being stolen part. Um, so what we ended up, I remember going with my cousins when we were younger, and one of my cousins got his candy stolen, and we actually, my older brother Jeff and we actually ended up chasing down the guy, and he was so scared because we cornered him between a house and a fence, and he couldn't get up and over the fence, and he just was like, and so he just took the candy and hucked it over the fence like as hard as he could, and then like ran off, and we're like, what the heck, like why would you do that, like just give us the candy back, we're not gonna do anything to you, like but yeah, that, and like I just remember we had to ring the doorbell to the house of where the candy landed, and there were like some kid stole our candy and threw it over your fence, and it's in your backyard, and so we had to go back there, and it was all over the place, like he just like it was everywhere, and so we were just like picking up candy, and I mean that takes up valuable candy time, which is sacred time.
It's like you're reclaiming the candy that you've already earned, and now you got to put it all back in the bag.
Yeah, and that is just, it's sad. It's really sad, but yeah. So that's kind of Halloween for us. I mean, we have had so many times during Halloween where we've had a lot of fun and kicks and giggles and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So moving on to the next topic. Taw and I, we have had some fun adventures in California. We've had multiple trips out to California, and for various different reasons. But what I want to focus on are a couple of things. First off, I'm going to say a word, and Taw, you have to explain where this came from. And then we can talk about further things about California. And I think Taw already knows what word I'm going to say, but I'm going to say it right now. Cheddar!
Imagine that, people. Like, imagine that being screamed at the top of our lungs as we're like probably hitting 100 miles per hour, going down the road in between desert California and desert like Nevada, kind of a thing. And oh man. I don't know why. Oh, it was because you had the little cat. You had the little kitten. And we used to like say the same thing to the kitten a long time ago. And Bryce is probably not remembering, but I'm picking up on some stuff from a while ago. But what we would do is we would the looks on his face. What we got cheddar Triscuits is what they were. If you haven't had those things are amazing. And because
Delicious.
they were cheddar Triscuits, obviously I think we were stir crazy for being in the car, and so we just ended up just screaming out cheddar out the window at everything for hours. Like it was our mantra for that trip specifically was cheddar. I would do it now, but I don't want to blast out the ears of the people on the podcast. But and imagine
sorry if I've already blasted your ears out. But
no. Yeah. So that one was, oh my gosh, that was great. That was great, and I'll tell you guys right now, like I'm craving them again. As we're talking, I'm like, I want to go see if I can find some cheddar Triscuits. Yeah, I'm gonna need some of those. So, those drives. One thing I do remember, and Bryce, if this is okay if I bring it up, is the roller coaster that we would always stop off in Nevada. I think it's called the Prospector.
Oh yeah.
And that roller coaster, everybody, that roller coaster has been so much fun and also heartbreaking. And when I say heartbreaking, I mean heartbreaking for Bryce's dad, because I think it was his camera or phone flew out and smashed on the road down below because it like flew out of his hands or out of his lap or something. And I think if you remember that, Bryce, and we had to go and look on the street down below the roller coaster for all the pieces of it, and it was his camera. if I remember correctly. Like it flew out because at the very beginning it drops you so fast and then up that literally it floated up and then just flew away. And so yeah, that was really sad. But I think
I
that
actually have a video of us going on that roller coaster, and maybe I can send it to Taw and he can splice it into this podcast.
oh
I guess
yes,
if for those
yes.
listening, it wouldn't be that good. Although the audio of it is incredibly hilarious. But I can send that video, and maybe on the YouTube video, you can check out us going on this roller coaster.
You ready?
Oh man, that roller coaster. And we went on it how many times the second time when it was just you and me?
Too many times.
too many
Oh
times.
man, it was good.
Yeah. There was also this like random flea market / like food cart row that we ran into in the middle of the desert somewhere. It was just like in a small town, but it had like rows and rows it was like in a warehouse, but it had rows and rows of like random food shops. That's something that just popped into my head, and I just remember going through there. That was around the same time we did the whole cheddar thing. We were screaming out cheddar all the time. But that one was kind of unique. And the thing about Bryce and I are that we like to take off like and find the like obscure, the random on road trips. That's kind of our thing. And you'll hear this later on when we get to Iceland, which is probably a little bit further down the road, but that's kind of the quintessential like pinnacle of us being random and just going and doing, which is amazing. And so in California, we have had so many amazing opportunities, and to go to like Disneyland and Disney California Adventures and surfing. We've done surfing before. Bryce, can I talk about my back? What happened to my back when we went surfing?
Totally.
Yeah. I ended up hurting my back really bad when one time we went surfing. I duck dived. So a duck dive is when you are going down the wave or catching that wave, and the front of the board tips into the water, and you fly forward. And so it's like, and so you fly off the board because it just goes bloop, because you put too much weight on the front of the board. And just to let everyone know right now, Bryce bought a surfboard to surf in Texas, and I am 100% jealous right now because it looks fantastic. And I'm pretty sure it's in the room that he's in right now, but I don't know if he wants to go grab it or anything like that because it's too big.
It's true.
Yeah. It's probably
well, you explain. I can go grab it real
quick.
Done.
I will do that. And so I ended up duck diving, and when I did, I landed kind of like smushed down on my back. There's the board right there. That's yeah. Bryce is excited to go start going surfing now. But yeah, so I ended up crushing my back, and I ended up popping the lower vertebrae in my spine, and we had to drive all the way home back to Utah with me in the back seat just whining. Okay, so everyone needs to take a look at this. This board is fantastic. Bryce, tell them how much you spent on that board.
So this board is a Degree 33 surfboard. I think it's an older model, but there's literally no wax on it. So it's like brand new. And I found it at a pawn shop here in Texas. And this board was only $180. And that's a pretty good deal for a surfboard. It's 6'8". It's a short board. I've got it set up as a quad. And I can't wait to get this thing in the water. I'm gonna put a stomp pad on it, and I also there's a ding at the bottom that I need to get fixed as well. So once I get that fixed, put the stomp pad on, wax it up with some warm wax. I'm gonna get it in the water. I'm so excited.
See, and that's the thing. And so, yeah, that board, I love that board so much. And it's funny because the same day he bought his board, he put me on Facebook Messenger video, and he's like showing me these boards, and he's like, "Do you want me to buy you one? Look at this one." And oh man, I cannot tell you guys how close I was to being like, "Yes, here you go. Here, like, send you the money, like, buy the board for me." But I'm like, but I don't. I mean, I live in Utah, people. The only kind of surfing we do is wake surfing behind the boat, and that means that you also have to have the boat to go with it. So, which I don't have. But jumping back to kind of California, we've had so many different things happen in California, from bleaching our hair, which went terribly wrong, in my opinion. And by terribly wrong, we looked terrible.
We didn't look very good.
We looked terrible. I mean, think of late 90s pop rock star. That's what we look like.
Blink-182.
They definitely had a lot more taste than us. Ours was pretty bad. And I remember it's because we left it in too long. It was Bryce's cousin that ended up, the one I think it talked about in the last video, that came and visited, and I got it all mixed up with his other cousin. But she was the one that helped us out. It was her sister. Okay, it was her sister.
Yeah, sister.
Obviously, I don't know Bryce's cousins that well.
Yeah.
But she was in the Air Force at the time, I think, and she had been staying in the same house as us, and we were like, we want to bleach our hair, and she's like, okay, I'll help you, and she ended up leaving it in too long, and so it was like yellowish white, like bright white. And if I can find the picture, if Bryce has it, we'll see if we can get it in here so you guys can see, because I'm pretty sure I have that picture, or Bryce has it. Yeah. And we'll put it in here, and I'll post, I'll shoot it up right here so that you guys can see in the screen, and see how terrifying that was. We thought we were so cool, and we went to Disneyland the next day, didn't we? Yeah.
We did, with our hair like that. Oh man.
God.
Good times.
Yeah.
Anyway, lots of adventures in California. We went there, I think, the first time with my dad, kind of as a senior trip, kind of like as an exploratory, here, learn how to surf kind of a thing. My Aunt Evelyn, so my dad's sister, she taught us how to surf, and anyway, she's super cool. She married another surfer dude, and he's super cool. And every time we go to California, they're always asking when we can come go surfing with them. So I definitely want to make it back out there and go surfing with them again.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm 100% on that one. Just for kicks and giggles, kind of a thing. Like it's that surf bum lifestyle that you always imagine. And Bryce and I have experienced it multiple times. And as much as we have responsibilities now because we're adults, I definitely crave that lifestyle. So, and obviously Bryce does, because we saw his board now. So he's getting back into that, which is going to be great. And I'm excited to kind of see more about that and more videos about that.
I'm so excited.
Definitely. And then, so moving on to our next thing. Yeah. Our next section here.
So here, I want to preface this. So yeah, our next section, I want to preface this. So I had never heard of the Spartan Race before. And I was living in Arizona at the time. And Taw, he was up in Utah, and I don't know how he stumbled upon it, so he'll need to explain that. But I moved back to Utah. I got a job in Salt Lake City, Utah, and maybe the week I got back, Taw um, and invited me and my wife to go to Applebee's, and we sat down at Applebee's, and Todd just starts talking about this race that he's participated in, and he's already done two of these races. One was the sprint, and the other was the super. Um, and the more he talked about it, the more I got interested in participating in these Spartan races. What they are they are obstacle course races at varying distances. So the sprint is around a 5K, the super is around a 10K, and the beast is around a half marathon in distance. And so Todd, he was planning on completing a trifecta that year. So this was in 2015. And he's like, I'm going to be training to do this beast at the World Championships out in Lake Tahoe. You should really consider doing it with me. And my wife was there, and I can't really like commit to anything on the spot or whatever. I got to think about it and kind of mull it over. Anyway, eventually July 4th happened, and they had a coupon code for any Spartan race. You could get like 10% off or something like that. And anyway, I used it, and I signed up to compete in the Lake Tahoe Spartan Race. And I was terrified. Like Taw, he's like, oh yeah, I've done two. He's like, anyway, the more he talked about it, the more scared I got. And I was super, super nervous. And so I'm like, okay, what are the different components of a Spartan race that I need to prepare for? And one of them was like running or hiking or whatever. And I had a desk job. I wasn't working out. I wasn't very, very fit. And there is a hike, this hiking trail behind my parents' house, just a few miles down the road, that go up to this canyon, Adams Canyon. And
for everyone, I have a video of that Adams
started
Canyon
hiking
on
this
my
trail.
channel. Sorry.
So check it out. Maybe there's a link in the description or somewhere. So you should check it out. But anyway, I hiked this hike, and I didn't really like lift weights or anything, but definitely it helped me get more physically fit and be able to, have that type of endurance for the Spartan race. And I had planned on, I planned on, hiking this hike around 3 times a week. And the Spartan race was in September, so I had a few months. And anyway, I was really consistent hiking Adams Canyon to prepare for my first Spartan race. And by the time we were supposed to leave for the Spartan race, I had completed hiking that hike 30 times, which is pretty incredible. I'm super proud of myself for doing it. And it was literally the thing that I was so surprised about when I got to the Spartan race was how well I did on the hiking portions, because I had, put in the work and actually trained for it. And like at least 3 times I probably explained like, this is exactly what I was training for. Anyway, suffice it to say, I'm super grateful for Taw for introducing me to Spartan races. Taw, how did you hear about Spartan?
Oh gosh. So for me, I had hit a point in my early 20s that I was very out of shape. Probably even more so than what you guys are seeing right now. But I remember hearing about the Spartan death race. And by the way, Spartan, we're not sponsored by Spartan. I just want to kind of clarify that right now, but you guys should definitely go check it out at spartanrace.com. They are fantastic.
If Spartan wants to sponsor us, please
just
contact us. Descriptions is below.
We love you guys, and we definitely give you guys a lot of money, so you might as well help us back. And so I remember hearing about the death race, and the thing is, the Spartan death race was so intense that they actually stopped it, and not because people died, unfortunately, but it was so intense And there's a lot of different YouTube videos about it, so definitely go hit those up and see what other people have said about it, and find out what it is, because it's pretty intense. And I remember looking at it, and that was the year that they decided to start doing it, where they broke it up into 3 different races. And I looked at one of them up in Idaho, and that race specifically was a sprint, which is only 3 miles of 5K, basically. And probably about 25 obstacles. And I remember going, and I drove all the way up to Idaho just to go do this race. And I didn't have any plans to sleep there. I just was driving. I drove up the same day that I raced, because I thought that I could make it in time. Because I had a later race that afternoon. I didn't have an early morning race like we found out over the years is the smartest thing to do. And so I get all the way up there, and it's at this place. I want to say it's Sand Hollow, and in Idaho, and it is hot. It is blistering heat, and the sand that's on these mountains that they have, like these little hills, is white. And so not only is the sun hitting you from above, but you're also getting hit from the light from below and the heat that's coming off of the sand. And I didn't have anyone with me at this time. I basically was all by myself, and I had 0 running experience, 0 obstacle course experience, 0 climbing, anything, lifting, any of that. I was just a chubby guy that wanted to get a little bit healthier and a little bit fitter. And this just seemed like, I don't know, the complete and total exaggerated opposite of what I needed to start out with. And so it was definitely something. And I remember I actually ended up, when I was going and doing the race, it was really hard. And I took a very long time. I took about 4 hours to complete this simple 5K. I say simple. Go do it, and then tell me that it's simple.
It's a lot more tough than you think. It's like even the sprint is so much more tough than you can anticipate.
Exactly. And one of the key things that happened was I actually ended up tearing a muscle in my right thigh area. And so here I am trying to hike these like hills with this muscle that is just completely destroyed. Like, I could barely walk. I felt like I had broken my leg. And I was doing the sandbag carry at that moment. And I just remember there was a photographer a little bit ahead of me, and I was struggling. I mean, I was a complete and total struggle bus at that moment. and so I am like, I'm pretty much like dragging my leg behind me. And he like pulls up his camera to take a picture of me, and I knew what he was going to do. And I cannot tell you guys how funny it was. I stood super straight, and I looked like I was the champion of the world. I could carry that sandbag for miles and miles and miles, and it was no big deal. The second he was done, he started laughing, and he's like, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "That was pretty awesome of you to do that." He's like, "You can go back to struggling now." And I'm like, "Thank you." And the very end of the race, I was going to quit. And I had gotten to my breaking point. I was physically injured. I was mentally shot. And Bryce has seen me have those moments before. And I am definitely not afraid to tell people, like, sometimes you need to call it. When it comes down to your health, you just need to call it. And I mean, we'll talk about that probably a little bit later on in these podcasts, of situations that have definitely happened. But I gotta tell you right now, I feel so bad for Bryce and his brother for running with me, because it's always like something happens. Every single race, something happens that just makes it miserable for me, and brings them down, because it's you're only as strong as your weakest link kind of a situation. So
when you race as a team,
we race as a team at that later on, but this was just me by myself. And I remember going down the hill and seeing the finish line, and it was probably a good mile away still, and I was like, I was done. I was just completely done. And I was like, that's it, I'm done, I'm quitting, I'm walking off the course. But then I realized, as I was like walking down this hill, that if I walked off the course, it's the exact same amount of miles as it would be to finish. And so I was like, okay, like I just need to like suck it up and go. And this, at this point in my life, this was probably one of the hardest physical things I've ever had to do in my entire life. And that says a lot, like I was fairly sheltered when it comes to physical activity. And I finally made it to the finish line, and the girl, like I was dragging my leg like a hunchback, like kind of a thing. And the girl that put the medal around my neck was like, "Congratulations, you did it." And I remember stopping, looking up at the sky, and then looking over towards the crowd of people clapping for me and realizing that there was nobody there for me. There was no one there to cheer me on there. And I just broke down crying, and I just knelt down on the ground and just cried. And everyone's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah," and I wasn't crying because I was hurt. I wasn't crying because of the lack of support at that time for that race. I was crying because I was proud of myself for accomplishing something so great. At least in my life at that time, it was something that I needed to do, and I needed to show myself that I could do hard things. And that I cannot tell you guys right now, like having that realization that you can do hard things is probably one of the best like feelings in the world. And I definitely encourage you to get safely.
It's partially why Spartan Race's tagline is "You'll know at the finish line."
Yep.
Like everyone explains to you what a Spartan race. They can try to explain to you what a Spartan race is like, but it's up until you get to the finish line do you actually know like how strong and how powerful you are. It's an incredible feeling.
And that, yeah, exactly. Like Bryce just articulated it perfectly. And I love that slogan of like, "You'll know at the finish line." And the thing is, that is exactly what I said to Bryce in that Applebee's was,
it's
"Hey,
true.
Man, their slogan is "You'll know at the finish line." And I remember going to his first race with you, right? No, did you? Yeah, we did our first race together, right? I'm pretty sure. Sorry, it's been a while back, guys. So we're trying to remember these things as we go.
I think you stayed behind in 2015, but you came with us in 2016, and we did that together.
Oh, the broken rib, right?
Yep.
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 So just kind of give everybody a really quick rundown. Like I ended up breaking my rib literally the day before they left on the race. So I was not able to go with them. And that was devastating. See, this is what I'm talking about me having experiences where something happens every single time, whether it's I'm passing out on the trail or getting hurt or something. It always happens. I just have a lot of bad luck when it comes to that kind of stuff. But I'm pretty sure that Bryce can definitely attest to the fact that when he crossed that finish line for the first time, he definitely knew what I was talking about and what that meant to him. So, yeah.
It's addicting. You kind of get addicted to that feeling of I have been through hell, but I can make it through. I'm able to overcome any challenges or obstacles that come in my way, and I can make it to the end. And that's something that I've really enjoyed about Spartan Race is that when I encounter those things in my own life that are difficult and hard to face and get through, I can just think about the Spartan Race. I'm like, if I can make it through to the end of a Spartan Race, like this is a piece of cake. So
exactly. Like, yeah. So that's kind of our experiences with Spartan Race, and trust me when I say, like, if you guys really like that, talking about that kind of stuff, like Bryce and I can talk for days about Spartan Race, the experiences we've had, things we've learned how to do. Definitely, yeah.
How we've trained, best techniques, whatever. If you've participated in a Spartan race or any kind of obstacle race, let us know which ones maybe we should try out. Maybe, I feel like we've kind of been pretty exclusive to just Spartan Race, but
yes.
If you've tried out any others, let us know what you think, or if you've tried both, how they compare. We'd like to check them out.
I think it was Bryce that did the urban obstacle race there in Salt Lake a couple.
I did the
months
all-terrain
back.
race.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did that one without telling Taw or my little brother, who typically runs races with me, mainly because it felt like I was cheating on Spartan Race. And it was funny because I participated in this race, and it's a different vibe. It's a different feeling. I went and did this race, and it wasn't the same as a Spartan race. I'll just say that.
Definitely.
But if that is your first introduction to an obstacle course race, by all means, go and do it. But you should definitely prepare yourself for the challenges of what a Spartan race takes. So anyway, I just want to thank everyone again for listening to our podcast. We kind of meander and talk about a lot of different things, but Taw and I have such a rich history together, and we want to share this with you. Our friendship, I don't meet a lot of people who have the same sort of deep friendship and connection that Taw.
Definitely not.
So I'm super grateful to be able to share our experiences with you. Please hit that like notification and subscribe. Please share this with anyone who you think would benefit from this. And I just want to thank you again. And we'll see you in the next one, in episode 3.
Episode 3.
Keep a lookout for that.
And we're continuing to figure out the name, by the way, everybody, just to let you all know. For right now, just kind of think of us as Bryce and Taw, your new friends, somebody that you can listen to and just enjoy our conversations. So yeah, and like Bryce said before, let us know your thoughts, your feelings down in the comments. Obviously keep it appropriate. And so it was great talking to you guys today. So yeah.
All right. This has been Bryce and Taw, episode 2, and we will see you next time.
Episode 3. Woo!
Bye.
See you guys.